Hello and welcome. My name is John Michael Collins. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. The music you just heard is fun, upbeat, and kind of depicts me. It was provided by my friends Marino and Noah Correa, who are part of a company called Cinema Sonic. Head over to their website down in the description to find out how you could get quality audio and visual works for your next project. I had a virtual psychiatry appointment today. That was nice. And overall, she said that I'm doing, for the most part, fine. For the most part. I'm quite pleased because I feel like every day now there's like a lot of healing that's going on inside of my mind. And it would be interesting to go back. I've listened to all my episodes at least once. So it would be interesting to go back and listen to them again and be like, just see if there's like any progression, not only in the my production process, but specifically if my mood has changed. Because I know 2 weeks ago I was feeling pretty down and trying to talk through this. Now I'm just, my stomach is digesting, and you might hear that a little bit, which is okay. But for those of you who were wondering, I'm still in Narnia, which Narnia, initially I said it was kind of a joke for me to go in. But it's really actually happening because Riley is in a season now where it's cold outside and she's just trying to survive. And regardless of whether or not she is producing growth above the soil, what matters most is her growth within herself, which to me is like my mental health. I'm honestly just kind of in this phase where I'm trying to get through every day, trying to look at the big picture. I'm going to look back at this time. All of us are going to look back at this time of 2020 and just be like, wow, what a crazy, crazy time. I'm starting to feel that now. I'm starting to be able to see the big picture, which hopefully means, we're coming to the end of this crazy isolation thing. The more and more I recognize how important it is for me to just, survive, the easier every day gets. I'm not saying it's easy. It's definitely hard trying to figure out where I am amongst all the noise, amongst the chaos. But ultimately, it's good. I'm seeing joy. I'm seeing happiness. I'm not frolicking through sunflower fields or anything, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a type of clarity as far as what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Well, other than what I am doing right now is what I am meant to be doing right now. What you are doing right now is what you are meant to be doing right now. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise, because that's just baloney. It's nobody else's business. And if they're worrying, how you're living your life, then they're obviously not living their life. It's good to be around people who are healthy to have in your life. It's good to put up boundaries. I guess I'm starting to visualize boundaries a little bit. I've always had boundaries. I've just never really thought about them because I feel like our minds, like, in a way, they're protecting us. My therapist told me, because of my stroke, to thank my brain. And I'm thankful for my brain and the fact that it compensated and protected me and still protects me. I had some coffee today, so that was nice. I talked about coffee last week, so I won't bore you again, although I didn't put shots of espresso in it. It was just purely the drip coffee, so as I'm talking and you're listening, I'm running out of things to say, but I'm still talking, so who knows? That was good. Good job. Speaking of good job, I would like to think that I am doing a good job of not only entertaining you, but more so helping myself process, pulling back the layers of my onion, which is my mind, and just really diving more into who I am, accepting who I am, just trying to navigate each day before me. It looks different for everybody. Just try to focus on yours, your day, your time. Speaking of time, if you are just joining, this podcast is a personal and therapeutic tool I call a vocal diary. It's a space for me to process thoughts and explore stories, and just post them for anybody who might be interested. I'm not doing this for any type of social gain or to be a better human. It's something that makes me me. And I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can, as long as I'm able. Episodes 1 and 2 talk about strictly who I am, so please give them a listen if you haven't. They're just a baseline of these are things that I've done. I mean, each episode is filled with topics of experiences, but episodes 1 and 2 are like a foundation. And every episode on top of that, filled with these topics, is like a layer. A quick disclosure that going on tangents may or may not be involved. This show is conversationally true to how I speak. Before we get started, I would like to invite you to head over to edccrate.com. And if you see anything on there you're interested in, anything on there that you are interested in buying, I invite you to use coupon code GQT15% to get 15% off, which that's a pretty cool thing. I'm grateful and humbled and honored to be doing that, to be marketing EDC Crate. I bought the Billy Boys Roller Cologne. I'm excited to get that in the mail and try it out. I'll update you next week on how it smells, what it's like, my experience of rolling on cologne. It is men's cologne, which I'm excited for because apparently men's cologne roller, applications isn't really a big thing until now. So here we go. To when I shaved my head. I shaved my head in 2016, a couple days before New Year's Eve. I used to have really long hair. I'll post a link to an Instagram picture of me with long hair. People would always be like, "You look like Jesus." Everyone thinks of Jesus as this guy with really long hair. I don't actually know what Jesus looks like. How do you know what Jesus looks like? You'll see pictures of him or paintings. We don't know what kind of hair he had, what color his skin was, how tall he was, if he was left-handed or right-handed. Holy cow! Yeah, if anybody has an answer whether or not Jesus was right-handed, that'd be awesome to know. But ultimately, you know what? It doesn't really matter, because what matters is the person of Jesus and who he was and what he stands for. So on one hand, it was cool because people saying that I looked like Jesus opened up an opportunity for me to talk about Jesus. You might be offended if I just, bring up Jesus out of nowhere. I would like to think that I'm not a salesman, but rather an ambassador for what Jesus stands for, which is eternal life. Only he can sell eternal life. I cannot sell it. I, through the way I live, am an ambassador to it, to him, to love. So, and then on the other hand, having long hair drew a bunch of attention to me. Attention as in other people looking at me. Long story short, I held that over people. Okay, I didn't hold it over people. It felt like people were treating me as if I were better than them, or this idea of looking cool, of having long hair. It kind of gave me this sense of status of, oh, I'm better than you because I have long hair, which is completely ludicrous, which is completely silly, which I do not think I am better than anyone, by the way. I am just another human being We are all on our own separate path. To compare my path to your path, or for you to compare your path to my path, is why? I understand that it's very sensitive and it's very difficult to look at other people and see where they are at in life and want what they have. To be envious of what they have. If you look at someone and you say, "Oh, I hate what I have, I want what they have," if you want that for selfish reasons, now it's okay if you're in a low place in life and you want to not be in a low place, then that's another thing. But if you want to be someone else, you're doing yourself a disservice because you should be yourself. Because being yourself is freeing and life-giving. So shaving my head was a symbolic way to... I did not initially intend on growing out my hair to be cooler than other people. But I wanted to remove that idea from my mind. If I grew my hair out again, I would definitely have a different idea of it. But yeah. Another thing I thought about having hair, if you haven't noticed, I like throwing in a lot of unnecessary words. I try to not do that and just get to the point quickly, but when I shaved my head, okay, I first buzzed it. It was, maybe a couple millimeters tall. Maybe 10 millimeters or 5 millimeters. So I shaved it, but then I have a friend who actually, here in the US, we call it bicking your head with a Bic razor. Actually taking a razor to your head so you get like that smooth and shiny feeling, that look. I don't know, just like a bouncy ball or something. Or a watermelon. Yeah, watermelon. I think my head is the size... No, my head's like the size of a medium-sized pumpkin, I'd say, but without the stem. If you go bald, I was like encouraging everybody, like, "Oh my gosh, this is like one of the best things in the world. You should try this." And people would say, "No, I have a weird shaped head," which that goes back to the being yourself thing. Being yourself, not caring about what other people think. I know it's very, very, very hard. And trust me, I'm not perfect at it either. I see people with certain things that I want, and I'm just like, man. But our hairstyles are like part of our personality, and when you take that away, you're kind of like, who am I? But at the same time, it was a good reminder of things that were important to me. I don't know if I'll shave my head anytime soon. I don't want to do anything crazy as a result of 2020. Some people might say moving across the country was crazy. I didn't do that because of 2020. 2020 put me in a situation where it was easier to do that. It's hard to be content with what we have, but we can find freedom in learning to be content with what we have. To when I magnified sunlight, I'll say 2008. On a sunny day, you can take a magnifying glass, put a leaf on the ground, and bring the magnifying glass close enough to the leaf where you can actually burn the leaf, because the sunlight is going into the magnifying glass through the magnifying glass, and then all the light is being concentrated into such a tiny spot, which creates heat and burns. I want to do that someday, soon. Hasn't really been bright here in Georgia. It's been pretty cloudy and windy and cold. It was very cold this morning. I was thinking of where I could go with this thought of magnifying the sun. Take the sun. We'll just call the sun wisdom. Wisdom. Wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. With the magnifying glass, you are in control of the magnifying glass. As the sunlight travels through the magnifying glass, you are focusing the light onto one point. if you look directly at the point, it is very, very bright. It's like a super tiny dot almost. Don't put your finger underneath it. I don't think I ever did, but that could probably burn your finger easily. I'm not responsible for anything that you do as a result of what you heard on this podcast. You could do it on a piece of cardboard. You could try to burn a hole in the side of a door handle, your shoe, a piece of toast. Yeah, you could. That'd be cool. You could like toast a piece of bread with sunlight. My lesson, I was visualizing this, or I was thinking about this as I was visualizing the whole magnifying glass thing. Yeah, I talked about it. Focus. Focus on certain things in your life, certain areas. Use that imagery to help you focus on something you're trying to focus on. Perhaps, maybe. Just play with it. Play around with the idea. To win, I shocked myself. I don't know how many times I've done this. We'll just say like 2002. I was in my grandma's basement with a 9-volt battery. I do not know how a 9-volt battery works, but it's like that kind of square rectangular battery with like the terminals on the top, and then the other side is flat. It's actually cool because one time I took one of those apart and it's like filled with a whole bunch of tiny batteries. If you take that, disclosure, do this under parental supervision. Don't do it for very long at all. Just do it for like a second. If you take the 9-volt battery and you stick it on your tongue like, bleh, it shocks you. It won't like kill you or anything. It's not strong enough to do that. Just be careful. Okay, whether it be shaving your head, magnifying sunlight, or shocking yourself, please be careful. If you do it, make sure somebody's with you. If you get hurt, they can help you. There have been other times that like I've touched an electric fence, or just sometimes, my computer, my laptop, there's like a piece of metal or something exposed on the inside, and like I touch it a certain way and it just has this like gives off this little tiny zzz shock. This is getting kind of nice. Well, I mean, it's always been nice, but I feel like it's getting nicer just talking. Although it's pretty warm inside my recording booth. This year is almost over, so hang in there wherever you're at, whatever you're going through. I appreciate you. Welcome Spain, by the way. I think I'm going to go watch a movie. My therapist recommended I watch a bunch of these movies. I'll write the list of them in this episode description. She recommended the first Matrix movie, so I watched that, and then I watched number 2, and now I'm going to watch number 3. I really, 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 really want to thank you from the deepest part of my heart for tuning in to this episode. If you liked it, please share it with your family and friends and to anybody and everyone you know. Also, if you don't mind, head over to my website, which is my creative portfolio, johnmichaelcollins.com. Well, I just realized something really cool that I'm going to share with you. The word cookie is made up of the word cook and then E. Thanks for listening.